There's trouble ahead. Trouble that may or may not be a signal 30. What will we find? A minor mishap? Or will we look upon the stark face of death?
First, welcome here to Città Fujiko.
Thank you.
Here in Bologna.
Thank you.
For your last show in Italy. Great.
Yeah.
Ever in this tour. Okay, I would like to start from the beginning. Would you like to introduce yourself and who are you? Where are you from? Where are you from? And when did you start to make your first music?
I'm Jay Wilgus, Esquire. I'm from London, South London, and I started making music probably. Me and my brother had a band when I was 5. It was terrible.
Did you?
Yeah.
5?
Top Guns.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who are you?
Good question. I'm Wrigglesworth. I am from Leeds, but I live in London, unfortunately. And I also started playing when I was 5.
So where are you playing now? How is called your project?
Oh, we didn't say who we are. Sorry, yeah. Nowadays, when we're not playing in bands when we're 5 years old, nowadays we are in a band called Public Service Broadcasting, and there's just the 2 of us, and we are very good friends.
And what can you say about your musical background? Where are you from, and what kind of music were you doing before Public Service Broadcasting?
I played the guitar from about 14. That's when I started getting serious about music, and yeah, I was in a few bands, bands with my sort of friends from school and stuff like that. And after at university, several bands at university, nothing very good, but all good fun, I suppose. And then I started. When I kind of finished those bands, I started making more music on my own at home, learning about how to do kind of more electronic music, and gradually moving into that. So that's why Public Service Broadcasting is quite electronic, but at the same time there's a lot of live instruments on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I used to play in punk bands, which was fun.
In Leeds?
Yes, yeah, in Leeds, yeah. And the singer, who was quite a large man, used to throw himself into my drum kit at the end of the gig, which always annoyed me. But he was large, so I didn't dare say anything.
And when you guys partnered together, and with purposes?
Yeah, we Wrigglesworth has been around since late 2010, but more seriously since sort of 2011, I suppose. So about 3 years now. But this thing has been going for about 5. I was just doing it on my own at first, so it was solo in the good old days.
Yeah. What can you say about your project, your music project, which is including also some propaganda movies from back in the days in Great Britain and especially England, right? And how did you start your research in that field? I mean, looking for movies, looking for music at the same time, in the same project.
Oh yeah, well we sample a lot of different kind of types of film footage, I suppose. Some of it is archive, just general archive. Some of it is public information films produced to educate the public, and some of it is propaganda material. And yeah, it started off just using kind of sillier films, really, but films that were just a bit more funny and daft. And then with the propaganda stuff that came about because I wanted to write an EP that was a bit more serious and a bit more kind of structured and told a story. So I thought World War II would be a good subject for that, although quite.
And you're talking about the war room.
I'm talking about the war room, yeah. And from there, really, we use all kinds of stuff now: documentary film, feature film, yeah, all sorts, even some radio broadcasts and stuff like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But did you have any criteria to take that kind of material instead of another one?
It's just stuff that interests me, really. That's the kind of the main criteria. It's all stuff that's of a certain period. It's quite old, it's about 60 or 70 years old, most of it. But there's not really any particular reason for that. It's not because I kind of have a deep love of history or anything like that. It came about just because I like the sound of it, like the sound of the recordings then and the voices then. Yeah, that's why I kind of started making that, and then for the first album, Inform, Educate, Entertain, it seemed more proper to kind of keep things relatively in the same time period. So yeah, that's kind of why. So
was it easy to find everything online, like in archives, material archives, or online?
It was easier than you might think.
Okay.
There's a great deal, especially of American public information films out there, and we've used quite a lot of those. Yeah, it should be quite difficult with them, but they just, I phoned them up and said, you know, I'd like to use some of your footage to make songs out of, and these are some songs I've done before.
Yeah.
You know.
I've read on somewhere, I don't remember where actually, but BBC just forbid to take their material for your music.
They haven't specifically said that. I've struggled to get an answer out of them because the BBC is so massive. You phone one person up and they say, oh, I think you should phone this person, and you try phoning them and there's no answer, and then
anyone is saying I am the BBC.
Yeah, you send them an email and say like, oh, who do I need to speak to about this, and you get no reply, and then you speak to somebody useful somewhere else and they tell you to speak to the first person you spoke to, and yeah, it's just hard. And because they're such a big organisation and so bureaucratic, I think it would be hard to get the flexibility that the British Film Institute have to say like, oh, we like this, okay, go for it.
Okay, and what can you say about the concept of, you said before also, teaching the lessons of the past through the music of the future?
Yeah, I mean, that was a line I wrote for a press release for going to the Edinburgh Fringe when I was just trying to grab attention.
Okay, oh, yeah.
And it worked because it's every interview now it's so
because now we're here.
Yeah. I think there is obviously, I mean, there's a great deal to learn about the films that we've sampled and the way that we've written the music around it, and you know, there's a great deal of interesting stuff to talk about, but that's not really the first purpose of what we're doing. We're just trying to be an entertaining band, really, and have people come to our shows and enjoy it, and not, you know, we don't want people to feel like it's a history lesson.
But history is important for you because I've also read that the first EP is dedicated to your uncle.
My great uncle, yeah. It was a way for me of making that whole EP just a bit more personal, because you're dealing with something as big as World War II. It's hard to kind of it's hard to get any kind of personal spin on it for people my age, maybe, because, you know, it's just so enormous. It's like, it just seems like this enormous thing that happened. But I was given my great uncle's banjolele about almost 10 years ago now, actually, and he was just an ordinary soldier. I think he was in the reserves, so he was called up quite early. So he was at Dunkirk, and he died at Dunkirk. And
during the retreat.
Yeah, a lot of British people died there. Obviously, it was not.
So, all right, let's move to the live shows. Your live shows, and you've done just lots of touring since the first album came out, and during the last year, right? How was that, and how was your live performance evolved?
Was it fun? Did you have fun, Wriggles?
It was fun, yes.
It has been fun, yeah.
It's been, yeah, did quite a lot of touring, so it's been very fun but tiring, but very fun.
Yeah.
And the production's got bigger.
Yeah.
More and more TVs, basically, on stage.
Okay.
I think we've definitely got better at playing. I think it's much kind of tighter and more slick. You know, if you play for a year almost constantly, then you're bound to get better. If you don't get better, you have problems.
I think I'm getting worse.
But yeah, it's quite an interesting live show. I think there's a lot going on. There's Wriggles playing the drums, and I play guitar, banjo, keyboards, electronic stuff, and we've also got, depending on the size of the venue and the size of the crowd, we've got various numbers of TVs that we project onto at the same time, and it's kind of audio-visual experience.
Yeah.
It's quite...
The same footages you choose for the album?
Yeah.
For the entire project?
Yeah, we re-edit it to fit our songs, and then we screen it live.
So it's a live performance of musician, and with footages behind the live stage.
Behind, and when there's a bigger stage, especially in the UK, when we played our sort of November tour in bigger venues, it's behind us, it's also in front of us, it's also next to us. It's kind of, you know, we have many screens. It's it's interesting.
Okay. And this is the last show of your Italian branch tour. But it is also you were in the United States. You said before, right?
Yeah, we spent a month in the US directly before coming here.
Okay.
Yeah, which was good fun. I thought it was going to be a lot tougher than it was in terms of I thought we'd be playing to 10 people per night, but we did okay, so it was good.
And then you will proceed with European tour, or you will be back in
Yeah,
UK?
we've got kind of bits and pieces of European stuff. We're after this we're in Estonia briefly, and Paris, and then the Netherlands, Germany. Yeah, that's kind of it after Netherlands and Germany. Oh no, we've got support. Yeah. We're supporting Manic Street Preachers.
Okay.
In Europe.
Okay.
So yeah, on and off. Yeah. So that's about another 10 or 12 dates, kind of Scandinavia, Germany, Holland.
This is going to be during the summer, or
no, this is in May.
May. Okay.
So this is all before June.
But you are not going to be back in Italy.
Not before June. No. We might come later in the year. It's possible, sort of 2 or 3 days, just to keep things moving. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
I never know until we get somebody sends me a sheet and says you're going to Italy, and I'm like, yay, good food. Yay.
Yeah. So thinking about the future, where do you see public service broadcasting in the future?
In the bargain bin, HMV, good music retailers.
Yep. I think it's got legs, as we'd say in England. I think the idea and the concept and the music behind it, I think it can go for a while with still being kind of interesting and changing as well and evolving. It's been evolving over the last 5 years to get where it is now, so I think it will keep kind of growing and hopefully different kind of materials that we can use, different ways to use them, different kind of music even.
So you want to continue with this kind of project, like mixing videos and music together?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think the videos have to be as central to the live show forever, but I think it's what we're doing works very well as a concept, and I don't think there's any particular reason for changing that. I think it's always important to keep it fresh and interesting, and not just kind of do the same thing. So there's always ways we're looking at keeping it interesting, especially for us, because we're the ones who play it 150 times a year. So we need to find it fun and exciting.
Have you ever thought about any soundtrack? About writing any soundtrack of a movie?
Yeah, we've been asked a few times in interviews. I think it'd be really interesting. I think it'd be very difficult. I'm not sure we'd be good enough. But it'd be nice to try. You think of other bands, sort of a lot of instrumental bands like Air, and there's a band from the UK South who did a couple of soundtracks, and I think it could work. But we need somebody to come to us and say, how about this?
But in which kind of cinema, kind of movies thing you want to join with?
Well, there's a lot of bands in the UK now who are kind of rewriting scores for old films. That's quite popular. So it's possible that somebody could say, we're screening this film and we want to do a new score, and you'd end up writing an hour of music for that or something. That could be interesting. Or I think more interesting to me is just brand new feature films or documentaries. Actually writing new music for something new. I think would be a very interesting way to go with it.
So maybe next time BBC will call you.
Well, maybe we'll see. I don't know.
So finally, who do you listen to in your spare time? And is there any band you would like to suggest to Italian public?
Lush Rimbaud.
Yeah, Lush Rimbaud is an Italian band from Ancona. I don't know if you know them, but they're good friends of ours, and they're really good, I think. We've played with them a few times. So if you don't know them, then you should. And otherwise, we've played with loads of great bands. We played with a band on the west coast of America recently called Kiev, which is maybe not a great name at the moment, but they were really good, really kind of intelligent, clever, sort of alternative rock, I suppose.
They're better musicians than we are.
Yeah. they opened the show most nights, and we just felt bad after that. Oh dear. There's another band quite similar to us in terms of style in the UK called Baltic Fleet, and they're they're great. We've played with them a few times as well. I think they're doing a bit more touring this year. Yeah, loads of stuff.
Are they coming from London?
They're from Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, which is quite a good place to be from for music, I think.
Yeah.
Historically. Yeah. Yeah, loads of stuff. I mean, I listen to kind of all kinds of music from all genres, really. So, yeah, I could get my output out and be very boring, but
Please don't.
I won't. Okay.
Okay, it was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
So see you tonight.
Yeah, see you tonight.
Yeah.
Should be a good one.
Have a great show.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Color.